Hello, everyone. Welcome to the seminar on how to budget for your property purchase. Today, we are joined by two speakers from Smart Currency Exchange, who are one of our sponsors. My name is Yana Korpova-Harris, and I'm one of the hosts for today's event. Together with Property Guides, Your Overseas Home have been helping property buyers for over 10 years. For continuing to issuing buying advice, to preparing information and news from on-the-ground experts, so sourcing local news which might impact any property buyer like yourself, through to connecting you to experts like Smart Currency Exchange, estate agents, financial advisors, visa experts, healthcare experts, who you can find at the event today. At all our sessions, you will be able to also answer questions, but if your question isn't answered today, please head to the booths in the exhibition halls where you can find all of the experts, such as the guys from Smart Currency Exchange today. I will encourage them to answer your questions, so please pop them into the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen, where if you are logged in through the Zoom. Today, I'm joined by Jack Wicks, who is head of trading at Smart Currency Exchange, and Paul Harris, who is head of onboarding at Smart Currency Exchange. As this is a financial service, there is obviously a need for you to understand what they do, how you can register and become a client, and also what are the tools available to you through Smart Currency Exchange to really understand your budget and affordability when you purchase overseas. Today we will be covering all the countries, so there is really a slight difference between the countries depending if you're buying a resale or an off-plan property. However, Jack can cover this in some of the questions we got emailed already. So first of all, we will hear from Paul Harris, who will introduce us to Smart Currency Exchange, give us a little bit of a background to the company, and then I also have some questions already for you, Paul, which some of our visitors emailed us over. And then we go over to Jack, who I actually asked today to give us an idea of moving exchange rates and how they can impact what you're thinking about budgeting today versus what you might be able to achieve at the time of making an offer or completing on a property. So Jack will be able to take us through a little workshop of how to use so-called a forward widget tool on Smart Currency Exchange website. So Paul, over to you. Can you please give us a little bit of background to Smart, what you guys do, how you help to overseas property buyers, and if there's anything we need to know about becoming a client, and what are the obligations and what you need to provide.
Great, thanks, Yana, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for attending today. So first of all, just a bit of background about Smart and who we are. So as Yana said, we're a foreign exchange specialist. We've been trading for over 17 years now, and we've helped in that time over 40,000 individual clients to purchase property overseas and really make the dream an affordable reality as well. So our main aim is to make sure that we take all the stress and concern out of the actual money side of things. So we'll look to support you from the early stages, make sure that we help you with your budgeting, make sure that you understand exactly how much the money you have, let's say you're in the UK, can go towards a property purchase and affordability in euros. So yeah, that's a bit of a brief snapshot of what we're here to do, but essentially it's to really take the stress and strain out of the currency side for you.
Okay, perfect. So Your Overseas Home is obviously partnered with Smart Currency Exchange and also other financial firms to really complete this overall buying experience and a journey. We have had many customers who are already registered with yourself. Can I ask you, if you are not registered, what do you need to do? And you know, I understand opening an account is a key in dealing with any mortgage brokers, overseas banks, and or other financial services. But what about Smart?
So we're a fully authorized payments provider. So we do have to register you with an account before we can actually transfer any money for you. That's we're fully authorized by the FCA, governed by HMRC. So we have to do sort of standard KYC checks. So we'd run basically your address and name against a centralized database. If all the matches come back fine, essentially all you need to do then is read through our terms and conditions and accept them. You're then in a position to actually book a transfer. If those checks come back and there may not be enough of a credit history against you at that address, we may ask for proof of ID or proof of address, or potentially even both. So that can be emailed to us or uploaded onto the website. That's completely secure. So we make sure all your documentation is securely held. And then after that, it's still a case of accepting the terms and conditions. So it's really straightforward. Most people watching now and are attending the show will have already registered or have already gone through that process. So you may have already spoken to us already. But if not, obviously we do encourage you to go ahead and do that through the Overseas Home website or our own website.
One of the questions we get asked is how close to a property purchase should you consider registering? Because often people are at a research stage, they don't feel like they are ready to talk about a currency exchange. So what do you see people are doing before they found a property or making an offer?
It's a common question, and it's a common sort of objection we get as well when we speak to clients, that they may be too early in the journey. But to give you a bit of a real world example, I mean, if you are looking for property, and let's say you're on a comparison site looking at properties, you'll be typing in obviously the country you're looking to buy in, the area, how many bedrooms, what the amenities are. There's always going to be also a price range that you're looking at as well. So before you've even thought about actually transferring the money, you're thinking about the money. So that's where you're starting to do your own internal budgeting in your head. At that point, we can be super valuable to you, because we can then actually say, okay, you're looking at prices, let's say 250,000 euros. How much do you have in pounds at the moment? Is your budget in the UK going to stretch to that amount? And we can help you understand, the affordability of the properties that you're looking at. So yeah, ultimately, it's going to be one of the last things that you look to do, actually looking to transfer the money to secure it. But it's going to be one of the first things that you're subconsciously thinking about. So we can help you right from the early stages.
Okay. And if I don't find a property and if I don't go ahead, is there any obligation to continue with the relationship with Smart Currency?
No, opening an account's free. It comes at no obligation as well. So you don't have to use the account once it's open. It's there to use as much as you need, essentially. So you'll have the account open, you'll be assigned to either Jack or a member of his team. They'll help you out as much as you need, and then ultimately, if you decide that the journey's not for you, you don't find a property, there's no cost or ramification for not using the account. Just let us know you don't need it anymore, and we close it down. It doesn't cost a thing. Okay, thank you. That's simple and straightforward. Thanks for explaining the registration process. Some of our attendees probably gone through it already. Essentially potentially spoke to somebody, but I have a few questions for Jack. I mean, I had several questions emailed before the event, because that's what we did. We asked our registered customers to ask us a question that we can place to the panelists, and a few questions were about exchange rate. Lots of people are confused about the information out there, and they ask us if we can explain rates, how they move, what makes them move, because obviously we've seen this range of especially for the euro and sterling being anywhere between 110 to 120, and it's really difficult to understand what makes it and when is the best time to actually look at these exchange rates. So Jack, over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for attending today. Great to see so many attendees in place and listening to all the webinars. Yeah, currency, a minefield is the right word there, Jana, that you used. It really is a big concern for a lot of clients that are buying a property as to how much movement we can see in the currency and what impact that can have. And one of the big concerns is actually trying to sort of predict what's going to happen to the exchange rate is nearly impossible. There's so many factors out there at the moment in the world, in the UK and globally, that will affect the exchange rates, that we never try and second guess what's going to happen, and we don't want our clients to either. I've actually got there's a widget on our website, which is really useful for understanding how much movement there is with the currency, and how that will actually impact your budget later on. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly just so I can show you this. I think the visual could be really important. Jana, can you just confirm if you can see my screen now?
I can indeed see your screen. Thank you very much. And we will be able to share a link. It's found on the smartcurrencyexchange.com/services/forward-contract, but we will be able to put this address also in the messages in this webinar, or also email you over to all of the attendees should you choose to use this. It's Jack is going to explain to us how to use it if you're looking to buy a property and how to understand the currency and exchange rates. I believe it's a self-serving tool as well, though you can put your personalized budget.
Yeah, I'll do that for you now, actually. So I use this tool with nearly every single conversation that I have with clients. So I find it's a really good way of articulating what risks there actually are for the budget that you set yourselves. So I've entered figures in here already. So I've put over here that you're comparing pounds into euros, and a budget here of £250,000 with a 6-month time window. And you can see from here, from the graph going all the way across to today, the difference in the exchange rates, how unpredictable it is, but also how volatile it is. And spending £250,000 over the last 6 months has varied the amount of euros that you can buy by over 17,000 euros, as you can see there. Now, for most of our clients, that's a very real risk. That could be the difference between buying or not buying. It could be the difference between renovating how you like it or not. And these sorts of risks need to be known as soon as possible. And the last thing we'd want you to do is, a few days before your completion, is look to buy your euros and you've actually found that the currency has swung by 17,000 euros, and this is now a very big stress for you and actually something that might not be affordable anymore. And you can go onto our website and you can have a look at this tool, and you can type in whatever budget is that you may have. For example, if I put £150,000 in here, and I say that you're looking to buy within the next 12 months, it will then automatically load up the next 12 months for you and show you that over the last year, £150,000 could be a difference over 12,000 euros based on the data we have in the last year. And these fluctuations, these movements, they'll always be there. They will happen for the next 12 months and beyond. Really important that you understand this, and part of our job on the phone with you as our client is to make sure that you understand this and to make sure that you're aware of some of the options that you may have to actually mitigate this throughout the buying journey.
Thank you, Jack. I think it's really important to stress that. And on average, what we find is country dependent, really, but people who are looking to buy in Spain and Portugal tend to proceed really quickly. And there isn't a huge window between the paying the deposit and then completing, because a lot of our buyers look at off-plan properties. They're already built, potentially completing soon, or some of them are actually referred to as stage payment. So, Jack, what is the difference if I am actually buying a property and I have been given a payment schedule by a developer, for instance, on an off-plan property, and it says I need to pay the deposit today, and then I get stage payments at different 3-6 months windows? How do you go about planning something like that? Because if you're buying a property in the UK or in your home country, most of the time you have none of these problems. You don't have to look at the exchange rate every 3 or 6 months. So how do we go about agreeing on a property with the developer and then completing on a different day?
Yeah, it's really important to know that once you've agreed on a price with a developer or with any estate agent there, you're agreeing to a certain amount of euros that you're spending on this property. But what you're not agreeing, or what you're not quite sort of gauging, is actually how many pounds this property is going to cost you. And the pound figure is the all-important figure. That's what you're budgeting. That's what you've got in the bank or in the property that you're selling, and that's what you're spending. And so it's really important then that we have a conversation with you so we can help with your budgeting, A, if it's affordable before you make an offer, and B, how we then continue that affordability going forwards. One of the most popular options that we have for people buying property, whether it's an off-plan with a development or it's a very short-term purchase that you're in the middle of, a forward contract. How a forward contract works is that we work with you to understand how many euros you're going to need to buy, and we will help you buy those euros really as early as the offer being accepted. How we do that is we will articulate to you how many pounds this property is costing you, and therefore how many euros you're able to buy with your pounds. And then we look to fix that pound amount in for you, so that amount can't fluctuate. As on my graph earlier, it can't change, it can't be detrimental to your ability to actually buy the property or understand the true cost of that property later on. So How we do that is we buy the euros for you as a business, and we confirm with you how many pounds that property or those euros are now costing you. At the beginning, when you make that decision to buy a forward contract, we then ask you to pay a deposit to us, and that deposit will remain on your account of ourselves and in the contract all the way through your buying journey. And then throughout that buying journey, if you've got stage payments you need to make, we'll help you send euros out of the contract we've got in place for you. Or if it's simply a one-off completion balance at the end, then we'll help build towards that and then make the payment smoothly over to the destination you wish for it to go to.
Sorry, I've been on mute. So you can manage the difference between, me finding a property, paying initial deposit to take it off the market, and then completing. What if I don't complete for the time I told you that I need the money for? What are the delays? Well, if there are delays, because for instance, we have got customers, for instance, in France who find that the searches and the surveys of the already built properties are taking longer. And then there is a little bit of a notary solicitor's work that is involved, and agent initially tells you, well, completion should be within 6 months, and then you find it's actually stretched to 9 months. What do we do then?
Yeah, good question. And buying a property, there often is at least sort of one delay or one hurdle that you have to get over. It's the journey of buying a property that we all know. If you've bought a contract for 6 months and actually your completion is later on, there's two things that we can do for you. We can go down the route of actually extending that contract for you. So we can extend that up to 12 months for you, and we can talk about how that would work if that situation arises. Or simply, if your pounds become available to you in that window, you can actually choose to pay for your contract in full, in line with your original date that you'd agreed with ourselves, and then we'll hold the euros in our segregated ring-fenced accounts with Barclays, ready for your completion to arrive. So there's two options there, and we want to be as flexible as possible with you. And when we speak with you as one of our traders, well, we'll understand the timeframes that you're working to, and then position and tailor the forward contract the needs that you have and the timeframes that you think you'll be working to.
Okay, we have got some questions as well, live questions from an audience today. So thank you very much. All the questions are always welcome. There is a customer who's listening to us right now. What happens if I transfer the money into Smart account and then something happens with the purchase and they decide not to go forward?
Yeah, there's two ways that we can address that. The first option is that we can hold your euros here. They're in a secure ring-fenced account, as I mentioned earlier. We can hold the euros here to allow you to go and find a new property and to then use those euros later on. It doesn't cost you to hold the euros here. There's no ramifications to doing so. They'll simply sit here waiting for your instruction later on. Alternatively, if the whole idea of buying a property abroad has been removed, you don't want to do that anymore, then simply the euros that we're holding for you, we'll then sell them back to pounds. We'll do your reverse contract for you, and then the amount of pounds that we buy you will then return to you. So there is a risk that obviously that pound amount could be smaller or greater than what you first agreed based on the future exchange rates, but we'll help you understand that at the time and help reduce that cost if there is a cost at all, to be as little as possible.
Okay, we have got a customer who's already used us, which is great. Thank you very much for trusting our services. Apparently they used your colleague George and he helped them enormously. So thank you for feedback. We'll pass it on. The question they have now is if they will have to send money for different services, bills, potentially, if I know other customers ask questions about the mortgages, so I'm going to connect it together. Is there a minimum amount that they can transfer? Because obviously we're now talking about larger sums for the property transactions, but do smart currency exchange help with the smaller amounts, and is there a minimum?
Yeah, good question. Our relationship with all of our clients can be as long and as long as we want it to be, and as long as you want to be using the services for. Very rare we get a client here for a one-off transaction and then that's the end of a relationship. We've been around for 17 years now. We've had clients using us for 17 years. So the ongoing relationship is really important, and that dedicated account manager will always be in place to help out with future payments. With smaller payments, there's no minimum amount. You can transfer as little as you like. And there's a few different ways in which you can do that, which I'll touch on now. So we've got an online platform which will allow you to go and self-manage all of your future transfers, adding new beneficiaries and making transfers out. That's combined with our app as well, which can be downloaded on Android and on iOS for you to use on the go and as you need. In addition to that as well, we've got a regular payment plan which can be set up on the phone with one of our traders. How a regular payment plan works, it is specifically designed for things like mortgages and pension transfers. If you want to transfer £1,000 over every single month, we can set up a regular payment plan that on the 1st of each month, we're converting automatically £1,000 into euros and sending the euros onto the destination you wish them to go to. How it would work is you would set up a standing order with your bank to ourselves for the 1st of each month, and we would then receive that money on that date and automatically book in a contract for you, £1,000 worth of euros, and transfer those euros across. So without you even lifting a finger, you've transferred your pension or your mortgage payments or your living costs automatically from your UK bank into your Spanish bank, whichever bank it may be, and it would then arrive the next working day.
So there really is no real minimum for smart currency, and there are other flexible options for you to discuss. I have one question for Paul, which is relating to the process. So this is a customer who messaged us saying they've already registered. What should they expect from this point? Do they need to proactively contact smart currency, or they said they received a welcome letter?
Yeah. So we'll obviously we will send the welcome letter and the welcome packs out. They will receive a phone call from a member of Jack's team to introduce the service and really start to then engage and understand exactly what the requirements are. But by all means, a client can call in as much as they like. So if they register, you can give us a call straight away. You'll be emailed immediately your reference number and your trader's information, so you can give a call straight away and start the ball rolling. But yeah, that initial sort of welcome call that we call it will just be an information gathering activity on our side, where we'll just get a real picture of what you're looking to do, and then we can start looking at potential solutions for you that will help you later down the line.
Okay, so I'm just going to issue a 5-minute warning to our listeners. We've got another 7 minutes left in this allocated slot. If your question is not answered, please do head to Smart Currency Exchange booth, which you can find from any country hall that you might be looking at. Press Ask the Expert or a chat button to ask them the question directly. However, I've got a few to crunch through, so thank you very much for this great audience. We have got one question, which is, if people aren't ready to buy yet, what sort of exchange rate should they budget today? Should they use today if they're thinking of buying a property?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll answer that. But the best way to decide that is by speaking with one of our traders, so they can really sort of tailor that to you. As the graph showed earlier, over the course of the last sort of 2 years, we've seen exchange rates from as low as 110 up to a rate of 1.2. So knowing where to budget at that particular time in the future is really, really important. There's no right or wrong answer to that. But what is important is that you keep that communication with your trader going all the way through to the time you're planning to book a viewing trip. You're booking that viewing trip is to then have that conversation around budgeting again. Whilst you're on the trip, potentially having another conversation with your trader around budgeting. And again, just before you make that offer, to really understand how much the property is going to cost you before you then proceed and make an offer in euros. And
Jack, you're not going to give us an exchange rate as one to use with our agents today when we are talking about, I'm looking at the property range of X and Y?
I would love to be able to, but the problem is, if I give an exchange rate today, then that rate will change, and I'm sure by Monday or Tuesday that rate will be different. Approximately today, if you were doing it, and again, I'm going to be very vague with it, anywhere between sort of 1.15 and 1.18 at the moment to really understand it. But my advice really would be speak to a specialist, speak to a trader, and make sure you're getting more tailored advice than simply a very vague rate, which I've given today.
Of course, I was just pushing you because we did get lots of emails today asking about what is it that I should be looking at when I'm browsing the properties on people's booths and stands. We have got
a good way of doing it is by getting registered on the portal and on the platform, and then you can log in as and when you want to actually look at exchange rates and look at where you can budget that way if you're wanting a short.
And that's a free service.
And that's a free service to do as well. Yes, your trader will set that up for you on the phone when you have that introductory call.
Fantastic, thank you. We've got a few more questions. I mean, they are coming now towards the end of the webinar, but that's okay. We had a really good feedback about your colleague, Mohammed. One customer dealt with him and he was very impressed, and thank you very much. We will pass it on as well. What is the best option for the smaller transfers to be locked in at the same currency rate? You have mentioned it, but do you mind just giving us another synopsis, please?
Yeah, good question, Ben. Just to further on to that, I mentioned about a forward contract a bit earlier on about you can lock in your exchange rate for your property purchase over that 6-month, 12-month window, whatever it may be. You can do that with your living costs as well. If you've got a mortgage payment of €1,200, for example, each month, and you want to know how much that's costing you each month, like a fixed rate mortgage in the UK, you can fix your exchange rate for that 12-month window, so that you know each month how many pounds you're sending to Smart, how many euros you're receiving in the bank, and that you've got peace of mind then of knowing how much this mortgage is costing you for the next 12 months. Work on a fixed rate mortgage, a fixed rate contract for you as well.
Okay, thank you. So there was a question, another one which is linked to the question, but I believe you kind of answered it. Smaller transfers would be locked in a forward contract rate or a general exchange rate is the question. So is there a difference between those two rates?
You can choose really based on your risk appetite. You can do a fixed rate, a forward contract for 12 months, and you know what your exchange rate is, and more importantly, how many pounds that's costing you. Or you can choose to keep that variable and the exchange rate each month, and you can choose to allow that to sort of fluctuate over a period of time, to take advantage of potentially exchange rates increasing, but also taking the risk that exchange rates may drop and it might get you less euros this month compared to the next.
Okay, thank you. And we had a question emailed over that I was just looking into our email inbox, which came earlier this week. People who are going on a viewing trip want to know if an agent suggests to pay deposit on the credit card versus paying it through you, what is the difference?
Yeah, so with ourselves, more than likely, it's going to be a great way to actually understand the service on a smaller scale before having to move a larger amount of money across. So you're going to get a better service with ourselves. You're going to have someone walk you through how it works. Buying a property abroad is something that normally most clients only will ever do once, and it can be quite daunting. But have that connection with your trade, about relationship built up, understanding how the payment works, how to get that money out to a particular country in a speedy fashion is really important. And then after that experience is built up, heading towards the next deposit or your next payments on the property. And in addition to that, we can make payments to estate agents, solicitors, notaires, or your own bank account. So it's completely up to you of where you want these euros to go.
That's perfect. Thank you very much. Well, in summary, we had a great session, great workshop. Thank you very much for showing us the widget tool. I believe both Paul's and Jack's teams are available at the Smart Currency Exchange booth. Can you please post the link to the widget on the booth, please, so that people can visit, click on it, and almost put their own personalized budget that they are thinking of, and have a look at what the changes were in a, did you say 3, 6, 12 months? There are options to have a look at. What we learned today in summary is the registration is free, with no obligation to actually use Smart Currency Exchange. The rates that you are offering are very bespoke to everyone's situation and timing and budget. So there is no such thing like, okay, this is the rate to use and this is what's going to happen. It's important to have somebody like the guys from Smart Currency Exchange on your side before going on a viewing trip and before finding a property, because they can really add value to the whole experience. And I understand you guys are available on the phones most days of the week. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, between Monday and Friday, between 8:30 and 6 o'clock, we're available to talk you through what your requirements are.
And apart from helping UK customers, are you able to help our Canadian customers, for instance, or Australian customers?
Yeah, of course we are. Yeah, we're more than happy to have conversations with people all over the world, and we can do more than just pound, euro. We do all sorts of currencies. So yeah, please feel free to come and ask us questions on the booth about any particular requirements that you have questions about.
Fantastic. So really good workshop. Thank you very much both. Thank you very much for the audience and the questions. If you need further information, again, if you pop to Smart Currency Exchange booth, these guys will post also the website information. And if you would like to register, again, I believe it's done through the website, Paul.
Yeah, you can do it by the website or by all means on Monday morning, just give us a call and we'll happily set everything up over the phone as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you both speakers. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for showing us the forward widget tool, Jack. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.